I am feeling digitally connected, man.
Like we need to have an understanding of what can happen, what can't happen, because you have to start with some of your strongest material.
Right. You are going to be one of the people that are going to get left behind. It's that simple. You can do it.
All right. Welcome to the Tech School Podcast, powered by DSDT. I'm Josh.
And I'm Mr. Harris. How you guys doing?
The real Mr. Carlos Harris. How are you doing, sir?
I am doing well. You hit me with that all right.
We are not dazed and confused, or confused and dazed and confused. Yes. Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, that's what it was?
Yes.
I thought it was Gomer Pyle.
No. Matthew McConaughey, dazed and confused. That was his first line ever in a movie, and I believe he made it up.
Really?
Like it was like kind of off the cuff, if you will.
What was Matthew McConaughey? Which one is that? Which movie was that? Was that
I believe the movie is called The Dazed and Confused. Pretty much it means you're high.
Yeah, I never heard of it.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
So whenever he's on, it's his deal. All right. It's a vibe. It's a vibe. Yeah.
I guess you had to be there.
We're not dazed and confused, but I like the saying.
Absolutely. I wasn't there, so I get it.
Yes. With that being said, you can do it. And you do not want to be left behind. How are you, man?
I'm well. I'm
Yes.
working on it.
Mm-hmm.
I am working on it. It's one of those, I don't know. It just seems, and I've been traveling back and forth to the house over the last few days.
Mm-hmm.
Is it me, or does it still seems as though we have wildfires burning? Does it seem like smoggy around the city, or is it just cloudy?
I'm going to say it's more so cloudy, but it has been extremely hot. One day it's in the upper 80s, lower 90s, then it cools off. It's been going back and forth here in Metro Detroit, to be quite honest.
It just seems like I haven't really had a clear sky day in days.
Yes.
And then maybe that's just my perception, because I've been locking away in my lab, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But even when I do get out, I just feel as though I'm missing those clear sky days.
Sunday, I feel like this past Sunday we had a clear sky type of day. Clear skies for sure on Sunday. Sunny, clear skies.
Sunday?
I believe so.
Did I miss? I think I might have missed.
You
Sunday.
might have missed out on Sunday.
I might have missed Sunday. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so I went to see LL. So LL was here in the city.
Okay, yes. 50 years of hip hop.
Yeah,
was Little
Friday?
Caesars Arena. Yep,
It was Friday night. So I went to see him Friday. So that
Mhm.
means Saturday I missed, because I was at home all day Saturday. And Sunday I got out for a short while. So I must.
You missed it Sunday.
I missed.
You
I don't
missed it.
know.
Mhm.
I don't know. These days are starting to run. It's like I don't even remember what I did yesterday. I don't know what I did yesterday. I know it involved something looked like work,
Mhm.
it had to be somewhere. But at the end of the day, it's just starting to get a blur. But I do remember Friday
Busy.
night.
It's called being busy.
That extremely busy.
Mhm.
But I did go to the concert on Friday evening, and I enjoyed it. Probably one of the best things I enjoyed about it was the fact of seeing Ice-T.
Ooh.
Ice-T, the original gangster.
Mhm.
And I didn't realize how much older he is than I. Ice-T is 65 years old.
Stop it.
65.
I would have thought 10 years younger, like maybe 50, early 50s.
No. And a number of them are early 50s. Like LL. I think LL's 54. And then you had Bone was there, and you had the Roots and everyone that was there. I enjoyed it. I really I did. And it kind of dated myself. You had so many of those around me that were there in their, Adidas garb and their Kangos, and you felt like you really were back in 88.
Okay. Give me a full age range of the audience.
Oh man, they had to be late 40s, early 50s.
Okay, so we had that particular age range.
Yeah, you didn't have the youngsters.
All right, fair enough.
You had the grown folks.
All right.
And it was packed.
Mhm.
It was super packed. I mean, if I could pull up the video, and I should have, the video that I took while there, it was as if New Edition was back in the building. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I was there for New Edition too.
Yeah, Charlie Wilson.
Yep. And Guy and Teddy Riley and all of them. And so the vibe was definitely one of the 80s. And at the same time, it wasn't as packed as New Edition, because with New Edition, you had so many people on the floor, you couldn't even see the floor. Whereas with this particular concert, at least you could see the aisleways, but yet all of the seating around the stadium, it was packed. It was full. So definitely one, if you missed it, you should have seen. And then I remember it was Sunday where I actually wanted to go and see Moneybagg Yo.
Oh, at the Aretha.
Aretha. See, I say Moneybagg Yo, and a lot of the people who were there on Friday night, I didn't go.
Oh, okay. But you called him at the concert Friday night. Okay.
I wanted to go see him over at the Aretha, but a lot of the people, the older generation that was there Friday night, they don't even know who a Moneybagg Yo is.
That those are two different vibes. You got LL Ice-T, the Roots over here. You got Moneybagg Yo over. Yeah.
And so, but I love hip hop. I love rap music. It doesn't matter whether it's this day or 50 years ago. I love it. And so I even, I like a lot of the newer generation and, some of the things that they talk about. It's just a change of the art form, but still, I love it. And so those that are as old as me, I've spoken to a number of them who were there at the concert as well. And they just can't get into the Moneybagg Yos and the Young Dolphs. And I love that music. Love it.
I'm good with it too. Part of the thing is a lot of them have similar names.
Yeah, well, Yo Gotti or
like I can't. I mean, actually, no offense. I just can't. It's hard. How many babies do we have out here?
I don't know. The baby, little baby, baby.
Yeah, it's just it's so many. It's like okay,
but it's kind of like anything else though. If you consume enough of it, those within the industry.
For sure.
It's kind of like you just develop a whole nother language within whatever the context is.
Absolutely.
So if you really are keeping an ear to what you're listening to, then you know who the babies are. And I like babies. I'm just saying, I like all the babies, myself. I'm just saying.
It's all good, man. It's all good. I'm just more of a Drake. I am more of a the Roots.
Oh man.
What?
Drake is okay to me, but he's not my greatest. He's not my greatest. And maybe and I'm not hating on the brother because I like the brother. I like some of his older stuff, Headlines, and all that.
I will say this. A friend of mine, I did hear this kind of statement. Drake's older music used to talk to you.
Okay. I can go for that.
I mean, his stuff is still good, of course. His newer stuff is still good, but the older stuff, it talked to you.
Yeah, I won't take nothing away from Drake. It's just not my thing now.
True.
I
mean, like I will catch myself playing his older stuff.
Yeah.
Versus his newest. Yeah.
And I like J. Cole's, Kendrick Lamar's. I was shocked that Kendrick Lamar got Album of the Year this past year. That
you were shocked?
Me. Definitely, because I didn't even know he had an album.
Have you heard it?
I have since, and I still am shocked.
That album was great.
In the face.
That album was a piece of art.
In the face of The Baby. Right.
Oh, okay.
And when comparison into the Young Dolphs, when you put him up against other artists like that I feel as though their music more resonated with me personally, I'm like, not necessarily. I feel like that was an album that they pretty much just gave to the community. It's one of those, Public Enemy, Fight the Powers That Be. Oh yeah, we're gonna give it to Kendrick Lamar. No, man, he's not the coldest to me. Absolutely not. But that's my opinion.
Dude, that album was a piece of art.
I know.
It was good.
Oh no.
Yo, yes.
I just look at my watch. I got time today.
Oh,
that's art.
I know we have Amber on here. She'll be on here shortly. I'll have to get Amber's perspective on this one.
I don't know if Amber going to be able to have a perspective on that one now. Hold on now.
I have faith. Mark will help us out. Don help us out. Somebody help us out.
Somebody's going to help us.
Somebody need to break this tie right here. We need a tiebreaker.
All right, why don't you tell us what's happening tonight with the GOP?
Oh man,
because I know you've been keeping
Wednesday night.
Oh yeah, Wednesday night.
Yeah, so this is going to be our first opportunity to get a full understanding, a full vibe of all the candidates who are running for the GOP nomination.
Okay.
The GOP convention will be in Milwaukee. So Here's what I am loving about the 2024 presidential election.
What's that?
I feel the Midwest is going to be key.
Okay.
The GOP convention will be in Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
The Democratic National Convention will be in Chicago, only an hour and a half away from each other, no more than 2 hours away.
Okay.
Illinois, Wisconsin, 2 Midwestern states. Michigan has become a battleground state. Ohio is a battleground state.
Why do you perceive that, John?
Why do I perceive what?
Why do you perceive those being Midwest being important to the GOP this time around?
Michigan played a key part in Trump being elected several years ago.
Okay.
Trump won Michigan through Macomb County.
Yeah, but
Hillary
in 2020, did he win Michigan?
No, he did not win Michigan again, but nevertheless, prior to him, whoa. Hold back the laughs. Right. Prior to him winning Michigan and becoming president, Michigan had always been a Democratic state.
Absolutely.
And the Clinton campaign took it for granted. That's what happened. But I recall that where he was in Michigan, he was in Dimondale every other day. Who goes to Dimondale running for president?
Right.
Donald Trump did.
Right.
And when he took Macomb County, he took Michigan.
I believe that they definitely see this as the keys. These are the key states in which they put up the biggest fight, or as is being said now, they tried to steal the election.
Yes.
Right. So they see that they have to return to these places because they lost these based on the ballot box, and if they're to win this time around, they can't take anything lightly.
No. The Midwest cannot be taken for granted anyway.
What do you think about him not necessarily throwing his hat into the debate on Wednesday night?
That's interesting. Look, he has a commanding lead,
right?
A very commanding lead.
You don't think he needs to show up?
I think it would be better to show up. Absolutely. If you're running for president again, I think it's better to show up. Doug Christie has some harsh words from him.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's he should show up.
Okay.
He should show up, but it appears he won't.
He
has a commanding lead. I believe in terms of the vote right now, I believe he has 42% to Ron DeSantis' 19%.
Okay. And so we all know that he's scheduled on Thursday to actually turn himself in to Fulton County in Georgia to receive an arraignment for this fourth round of charges that have been brought against him. Wait, as a matter of fact, I think there's I think that Trump
did I say Doug Christie? I mean Chris Christie.
I think he actually sent in a video that he's made in the preliminary for the upcoming indictment.
The word threw a party in the county jail. The prison band was there and they began to wail. The band was jumping and the joint began to swing. You should have heard a knocked out jailbird sing, let's rock. Everybody, let's rock. Everybody in whole cell block was dancing to the jailhouse rock. Spider Murphy played.
Where did this video come from?
Hey, there's a million of them out there. I could not resist.
Oh man! Wow,
I could not resist.
That is something right there.
That tickles me. But at the end of the day, let me just be honest. Let me be honest.
Yes,
I am the guy that, all politics aside, I kind of like the underdogs.
Okay,
and for all intents and purposes, I truly believe that even though he's ahead in the polls, I still see him this time around as being the underdog. You have.
Are you talking about in regards to the indictments, or
just the indictments alone? Just not necessarily his political stance. It's just the fact you have a whole nation, well, half a nation. I won't say the whole nation.
It's more so half the
you
nation.
You have half a nation that's in control right now. That it seems that if they couldn't indict him when he was in office, or impeach him, that now they have tried to indict him from one state to the next. I'm like, enough is enough. I want to see him win now, just based on that alone. I mean, it is what it is.
At the very least, let the campaign, let the election run its course.
Yep.
It's important that when we hear politicians preach about make your vote count, make your voice heard, give people the freedom to vote for whomever they want to.
Absolutely.
Let's eliminate the behind the scenes roadblocks.
Yep.
Let everyone, whoever wants to run, whoever has the campaign money, the resources to get that far in the election, let the election run its course and see who the people vote for.
Yep. I think
because what it's going to do, Carlos, it creates more tension.
Yeah.
When you have the feeling of, oh, you're deciding who I can vote for. You've already made the decision to a degree.
Yeah. I think that, I feel, and you can't make this argument too many more times, that they're weaponizing these, whether it be these prosecutions or these allegations, or they're just weaponize them in the face of, he has a strong potential to win again. He really does. And if you don't if he's not allowed to be in the seat based on his stance alone, then leave him the hell alone, man. Let him just do what he does.
The approach is in many ways counterproductive.
Yeah.
Where many attempts are being made to
hold
him back.
Too many.
And as a result, you're giving him more power.
You're
giving him more support because people are doing that in a revolt.
Whereas before, I wouldn't have considered even voting for him because I thought he was arrogant. I thought he was a pompous. I thought he was a whole lot of things. And now I'm sitting back and I'm like, come on now, leave him alone. Just let him run for office
and see what happens.
If no one votes for him, then he doesn't get in office. But don't come with all of these, these threats and these indictments. 91 charges over 4 different states, and I get one charge for failing to pay a seatbelt ticket, and I get fingerprinted. I get sentenced to jail for 90 days, and I don't get nothing but bread and water the duration. Come on now. Can you make it make sense for me?
Make it make sense.
If you guys don't leave him alone, man, and just let him run and just let the election play out, and at the end of it, we'll figure it out. But until then, let him run and cut it out. I'm just saying.
And let's go back to the original point of what's happening this week, August 23rd in Milwaukee, the first GOP debate. We're going to get a sense of who's running for that nomination.
Absolutely.
That's just what it comes down to. You have 1, 2, you have 10. You have 10 folks, including former President Donald Trump, who is declining to attend that first debate, running for the GOP nomination. Oh, also including
Pence,
Michigan, Mike Pence, former vice president under the Trump administration. Also including Michigan businessman Perry Johnson. He has the resources. He has the money to at least push it forward to see what he can do. You have Chris Christie, the former governor of New Jersey.
If he don't stop.
He has some strong words from former President Donald Trump.
He might have, but this is like, how many times has he run? Right?
He's run a lot.
He's run like last 7 elections.
He has run on more than one occasion.
Right,
okay.
Man, if you don't cut it out.
Hey, but so did President Joe Biden.
Yeah, but still, enough is enough.
But he has some strong words for former President Donald Trump. But nevertheless, if you are interested in figuring out who's who you might like on the GOP side, tomorrow night, Wednesday, August 23rd, is your opportunity to figure it out.
Absolutely.
All
absolutely. Right. And with that being said, why don't we bring Amber on into this conversation and let's get some of her opinion. Amber, what's going on today? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. So can you explain to everybody what's your stance on this whole GIP that's happening? GIP that's happening tomorrow night.
That's right.
I don't even know what's going on tomorrow. I don't even know what y'all talking about. Pay attention to politics.
I think we got our answer, Carlos.
Yeah. Some people just don't care though.
I don't care anymore. I did. I was like very excited. Once I turned 18, I was like, yes. Like I got really into it. Like my voice matters. My vote matters. And then, and then I felt like it really doesn't anymore. So I just
if I can help increase the
awareness,
increase the awareness, increase the interest.
Mm-hmm.
That's the word I was looking for. Politics is like a real life soap opera.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so many different moving pieces, so many things happening behind the scenes. It becomes interesting the more you get involved, or just the more I should say, about who's moving what, who's going where, who's doing whatever. Mm-hmm. It's interesting to know.
It is. But so for me, I was a real history buff.
Well, I think about any kind of job, any kind of real life situation, like who's making the moves here and there.
Right.
That's politics in a sense.
So when I was in school,
it in every workplace also, but go ahead, Carlos.
No, when
and every workplace has politics.
So history and social studies and government and civics and all that was always my thing.
Mm-hmm.
Always my thing. And I think that it comes on the heels of what our people had to go through in order to even get the right.
True.
It made it even more sacred and personal and important to me. So as soon as I had an opportunity to vote, I understood the significance of that.
I mean, we're three examples right here. Right. Women, people of color.
Women couldn't do their things. So what was it? I think it was like,
that's what I mean. We're three examples right here.
It was 1920 something, I believe, with women's suffrage.
Yeah.
They always didn't have the right to vote. So here we are now, and we have this ability to change the course of our government. And I don't take that lightly. I've taken my children with me over the years, and I have my kid now, she's 23. And she said to me last time, Dad, I didn't vote. Are you upset? No, I'm not upset. It's your right, right? Whether or not you choose to exercise it. But I just understand what had to happen in order for me to be able to exercise that right. And I take full advantage of it. So, but all that being said, here's a question for you guys. Now, me in my house, I don't know about you guys, but I cut the cord a long time ago, with the cables, and I don't have a cable subscription per se, but I do have Fire Sticks. And so I noticed the other day that Amazon was coming out with these 400 free cable channels. Now, have you ever used like Freebie or Freevee?
No.
Never used Freevee. What about Tubi?
Tubi, yes.
Tubi? You ever use Tubi?
Yeah, Tubi is free.
Amber, you use Tubi?
Mm-hmm.
So the only reason I use even Tubi is because I can get, I'm about to say it, Fox 2 News on Tubi. You know what I'm saying? I can't get it on any of these other free apps.
Wow.
You get like Fox Nation or Live Nation.
Yeah.
You get like Fox News, like it's from all around the country, but you don't get necessarily Fox 2 Detroit.
Okay.
Which is the only reason outside of the one application I have on Fire Stick that I use the Tubi app. So I saw that this was a thing, and I was wondering whether or not, have you guys cut the cord as well?
I've thought about it.
Okay.
I've thought about cutting the cord.
So you pay a monthly subscription to Comcast, Xfinity, or whatever the case may be?
Yes.
Okay.
And a few streaming services.
Okay.
And I'm looking at the bill where it's like, okay, internet, cable, $200 monthly.
Okay.
Maybe I can get rid of this streaming service or that streaming service, or maybe it's just time to be done with cable altogether, because you don't watch most of it.
Majority of it.
Speak
for yourself, Josh. What about you, Amber?
I don't think I've had cable in over 10 years.
What? Say it ain't so.
I haven't had cable, and it might even be longer than that. I don't know if I've had cable in my adult life, honestly. If I did, it's been a long time ago. Over 10 years for sure.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Back up. What do you watch any like shows? Do you have any?
Once in a while I'll get into something like on Netflix or Prime or whatever, like, but it's rare. I don't watch TV really. Like if I do, it's intentional. It's like there's a specific movie that I've heard about or I've seen about and I want to watch and I make time to watch it. But I don't really do TV.
Hey, but this is interesting to me because I've heard of people like you.
Like me.
I've heard of people like you, and this is like really the first time I've
heard
ever
of people like
I've ever had an opportunity to speak to someone. How are you able to do it? I mean, because it's like as if you don't stay as informed.
That's a good question.
As everyone else.
Yes.
Well,
like, how do you know what's hip, what's happening?
Right.
Here's the thing. I pay attention to what I want to pay attention to. I can, you know what I mean? Like even on social media, the way that I have set up all of my social media feeds, I ingest and I consume only what I want to. And it's like intentional because I think there's so much negativity. For me, a lot of the news is depressing. A lot of the conversations people have are very depressing and ill-informed also. So
news is informative.
News. I'm the conversations that people have about the news are very ill-informed. Like you will watch a segment, they're speaking facts, and then people get in and argue about the comments, and it's like, what are you talking about? That's not even. So yeah, the news is good. Like, but it tends. Listen, I manage some other social media accounts, and they follow a couple of different news channels. And I'm like, it's the first thing that pops up inevitably every time I open the app. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like there's people getting hit by cars like every single day. I'm like, that's something I didn't even think about. Now I'm like, every time I cross the street, which I already know to look both ways, but now I'm like hyper vigilant because every time I open the app, there's a freaking pedestrian getting hit by a car. So yeah, so I just limit what I watch. But then when we talk about like pop culture or current events, like a lot of times you guys ask me, I'm like, I don't know, I don't care. Like I'm very laser focused on what I'm doing, and I am very productive with my time. So whatever I do is mostly intentional, including if I want to, watch something or be informed of something, it's because there's a reason behind it.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Amber, you just became my hero. I'm having a hard time turning away from stuff. And so it's hard to imagine as busy as I pretend to be, right? Whether I'm folding clothes or whatever the case may be.
Folding up clothes can take a bit of time.
It takes a lot of time if you're the one doing the laundry. Hello, just telling the truth.
I was trying to do that before I got here.
And so I spent a lot of time watching different shows. Like the other day, I got into Breaking Bad. I could never get into Breaking Bad before. And I started this Saturday.
Into it.
It's actually a pretty good show.
Okay.
I actually, and maybe it's different for me now because
more perspective.
No, well, absolutely, because of some of the things he's going through kind of parallels some of the things I've had to go through in my life now.
Okay, relatable.
Right? Not the whole crystal meth thing.
Yeah, we're not making. Wait, he was the main character played a high school science.
He's a high
teacher,
school chemistry teacher,
but like a main meth distributor or whatever
distributor, but he also was dealing with cancer. He's dealing with cancer, and so part of the reason why he even got into selling the meth was because he had been diagnosed with cancer, and he was like, I'm going to leave nothing to my family. So I'm going to start breaking the law in order to make sure that they're taken care of. So I kind of got the mindset, but it's just the whole fact of cancer, because I never understood that until I had to deal with that in my personal life.
Interestingly enough, so I never watched Sex in the City when it was like a thing, but during COVID, I watched. I was like, you know what? Now I'm glad that I didn't watch it before, because there's no way I was too young to understand everything. But I'm glad I watched. I did. I felt like I could relate a lot more. But yeah, it took COVID for me to sit down and actually watch that.
Yep. I actually 1000% get it. I get it. All right.
How old the was?
Tell. Can you kind of bring us up to date? What's happening over at YouTube?
This is something I'd be interested in, Carlos. I know you love AI. So YouTube. And
oh, me? Hold on. You said I love it?
What?
Who said that?
So YouTube plans to roll out a way for artists, creators, music owners to get paid for the use of their art for AI purposes. So, like the AI models will pull from that and then recreate, but there's no way right now to make sure that those artists get paid. So UMG, Universal Music Group, and their entire roster, like Frank Sinatra, well, the estate of Frank Sinatra, Yo Gotti, all of them, like they are kind of like the first to participate in this. But essentially, it's going to work with YouTube to make sure that their work is credited and they're paid for use of their work for AI. But the artists and the record labels will have an opportunity to opt in or not.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't have to do this. And they're still very much working on it and they're figuring it out. But when I think we talked about this before, when Drake and the Weeknd song kind of went viral, like the AI of that.
Yeah.
They pulled it from Spotify. They pulled it from Apple after that because that went crazy viral. And when I first saw it, I was so confused. I was like, what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you hit home the fact that just a couple days ago, and we didn't get into this at all, but there was a ruling from one of the federal judges that AI generated art couldn't be copyrighted. And this is something akin to what's happening with the Writers Guild and SAG and everything, as they're trying to figure out how to use these AI tools, or, what compensation they would get in the face of these AI tools. I think that we're headed for a day when the rules to the games have to change.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means to me is, and I was just talking to someone yesterday about this, if anybody knows the Dred Scott case, if you've ever read it before, the main reason Dred Scott, Dred Scott is, of course, right, Josh, but the main reason that Dred Scott wasn't given the right to be a free man was because he didn't have the standing in order to bring the claim. So the case that was just litigated was that you had a individual who built this AI program, and he said that this AI program could replicate art, and he wanted the AI program to receive the persona of a person, meaning that the person or the program would actually own something. So in the face of a Dred Scott, property can't own property. Property cannot have rights. Only human beings can. Now, a person under the legal standings could be different than a human being. A person could be an entity such as a business, a corporate entity, right? It could be several other different aspects of creations that law it identifies. And so at the end of the day, I think that the laws now have to catch up with what's going on with AI, because mark my words, at some point, AI has more than just an identity to itself. It's able to think, it's able to create, it's able to reproduce, all without ever having human involvement at all. And so what happens to the day when AI needs to have whatever it created protected? And that's what the law is established to do, is to protect the rights of those that are within the boundaries of the law. Now, by far, I'm not an attorney.
Protecting the rights of property?
AI, but see, now the question becomes, is AI property?
Yeah, because here's the thing, because AI models are trained using people. So say, for instance, an AI model might be fed all Mariah Carey's music, and then so that it can replicate that tone, it can replicate the type of music, all of that. So when it reproduces that or recreates music with her sound, with her likeness, all of this, like, she needs to be credited because it gained its style, it's everything from her. The same way that if she was to sample somebody else's music, Frank Sinatra's music or whatever, she would have to pay his estate. And it's different. And I don't know if that's the model that they're going to use, because that's what makes the most sense in my mind, is the same way that they pay royalties, for music that's sampled. It would seem like similar to that. But
and alluding to Amber's point, it should be said to every time artificial intelligence is used to, for example, use a Drake's voice, style, tone, approach, etc., Drake should be compensated. Carlos should be compensated.
I don't agree with that.
Every time?
I wholeheartedly do not agree with it. And
so you can just use somebody's originality
No,
a number of times, but only pay them once.
So you're not using their originality. You're using
their
aspects.
voice.
Okay, can I finish?
Okay.
I know we can get into a heated debate about this topic, right? Because I really don't.
Let's get it on.
I don't understand because they have this belief that things will never change and we want it to stay this way. These laws are outdated. We're talking about, first of all, when it comes to copyright, this law has been on the books since 1976, which it encodified what was then the common law, right to fair usage of copyrighted material, okay? So at the end of the day, my belief or my ideology behind it is, say for instance, you have Drake, all right? When I was young, I wanted to be a rapper, right? So if I wanted to be like Drake, I would listen to Drake music, right? I could sit down, I would write a song, I possibly could sound like Drake. It could have a flow like Drake. It could have that tone like Drake. I could even use music like a Drake, and you might think it was Drake, but then again, you would know it's not Drake, right?
Right.
Because I'm not Drake. Right?
But then you might have to end up paying Drake because if it's too similar, you're gonna have to pay him. That's happened so many times where they just say,
I don't. Hold on now. I don't know of a time when a person actually sung something or they made something that was new and it sounded so much like the other artists.
It's like syndication. It's like syndication, if you will. Like there's a lifetime of being compensated for shows that are played over and over again
as original pieces, though.
Yes,
as original pieces.
Yeah, but there should be a streamline.
So my point being is, if you receive an inspiration from whatever the original was, and you create something on the back end that's totally new, then to me, you don't have a right as the original owner of whatever the license is to bring a claim against the person that made it based on an inspiration. I see artificial intelligence no different than human intelligence. When I sit and I listen to a Drake song, or I sit and I read a Maya Angelou book, I write things based on the context that I have kept within me, and I can very much replicate something close to it. It's not the exact same thing. It's
inspiration is not replication. You can be inspired by something and create something new, but these AI models are being trained to ingest all of something to recreate, to replicate that same voice, that same style, that same the same. Not
it's not. It's so
idea. Because that's alluding to your point, Carlos. If you said new.
It's new.
That's okay. Then that is separate.
So everything that these models create, it may sound similar to you, but it's not. It's always considered to be an original new piece. It's not the same thing.
Well, then we have to see where the original new piece originated from, if you will.
Well, they created it.
I mean, because where did they get that tone, that voice, that style? Where did AI create it from?
It created it from the substance of whatever the inspiration was for it. And we got to think, some of these models we're talking about, they have 178 billion parameters to be able to create. 178 billion.
I mean, because we're talking about music, for example, in this
music.
But music in this particular conversation, we're talking about like inspirations from real life experiences.
Absolutely.
How do you replicate that?
AI can't have a real life experience. You know what I'm saying?
Hold on. But I mean, we're just in the beginning stages of all this technology, right? No different than we talk about the Dred Scott case, because there was a time when we didn't even have a right to have this argument, right? But the laws had to evolve with the times to be able to keep up with what's happening in society. So therefore, today we may be able to make the argument that AI doesn't have a right, or AI doesn't. But once it actually reaches general intelligence, which is the belief of many of those in the community, then there will be a day that AI can make a stand in a court and say that, how can you not say that I don't have emotion? I don't have the ability to think for myself. I don't have the ability to act for myself. I've already proven no different than human intelligence that I have the ability to. So therefore, I have to be deemed as being a person under the law.
I don't know.
Then what do everyday people stand?
So that would be the same argument that they would make against making the Dred Scott case, because we were considered to be property. You could never be a man. You could never be a human. You were 3/5 of a human being.
The difference is we were still made of flesh and bone.
No, it's not. I mean, you can say that, but you weren't considered to be flesh and bone. You were considered to be chattel.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The more pressing question is if like the record label, like UMG, they can protect their artists and get them paid through this new YouTube program. However, an AI model can be set out and trained to say, okay, go create all of Amber Boone's content. And I want you to create a new personality, a new influencer, creator personality, a new account, whatever, that replicates her style. And I, as little old me, I have no rights. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm just a creator. I don't have the big UMG to back me up or to make sure that I'm getting my royalties or whatever it may be. So for me, before we get to AIs being human-like and fighting for their rights, can we get our rights? Like that regular everyday people, can we have some rights?
And here's a well in regards to AI. As we listen to Amber express her thoughts,
I hear something totally different.
No. How do we replicate her cadence, her tone, her personality?
That's easy. All those.
Is it easy?
Is
it easy?
It's easy when you're talking
her
about
inflection, up and down. Like, how do you replicate that?
I'm not. I look like the AI or the programmer. I'm not like Dr. Spock.
Granted, we are in the early stages of AI,
right?
But at least right now, we shall see where this goes 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years from now.
Absolutely.
But at least right now, what I've seen from AI, you just get a message across, but you don't get the emotion either.
What? You see, this is why
emotion. I mean, think about everything Amber. Her minute impression, her minute candor, cadence, the inflection, the emphasis,
right?
All of that you get from human nature. Okay. Give me something.
You know, I got to do it. This is why you have to stay tuned to what's happening within the community. And so we've gone down this rabbit hole, and we just gonna do it, right? So let me show you a clip from 5 years ago.
Okay.
And this is 5 years ago. We're not going to talk about things such as Air AI or Poly AI. Those are new models that we now have access to. But let me just show you this real quick and let you decide for yourself when you say it can't do this and that. And it's just, all right, here we go.
Our vision for our assistant is to help you get things done. It turns out a big part of getting things done is making a phone call. You may want to get an oil change schedule, maybe call a plumber in the middle of the week, or even schedule a haircut appointment. We think AI can help with this problem.
This is 5 years ago, guys.
So let's go back to this example. Let's say you want to ask Google to make you a haircut appointment on Tuesday between 10 and noon. What happens is the Google Assistant makes the call seamlessly in the background for you. So what you're going to hear is the Google Assistant actually calling a real salon to schedule the appointment for you. Let's listen.
How can I help you? Hi, I'm calling to book a women's haircut for a client. I'm looking for something on May 3rd. Sure, give me 1 second. Sure, what time are you looking for around? At 12 p.m. We do not have a 12 p.m. available. The closest we have to that is a 1:15. Do you have anything between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m.? Depending on what service she would like. What service is she looking for? Just a woman's haircut for now. Okay, we have a 10 o'clock. 10 a.m. is fine. Okay, what's her first name? The first name is Lisa. Okay, perfect. So I will see Lisa at 10 o'clock on May 3rd. Okay, great. Thanks. Great. Have a great day. Bye.
Two things. Good. I'm not saying bad. Good. However, where did that originate from?
From a large language model 5 years ago.
Okay, 5 years ago. And here's one thing that stood out to me. Just a women's haircut. Tell me one lady who goes around saying, just a women's haircut.
Listen, I don't know how women were talking 5 years ago. We'd have to ask Amber.
Amber, have you ever said in your entire life when you have gone to a salon, just a women's haircut?
No.
Well, Josh, that's neither here nor there. The fact,
it is. It kind of is.
Listen,
you use artificial intelligence to call a hair salon to make an appointment for a lady, and her response was, just a women's haircut. Name one lady in this world who has said, just a women's haircut.
But the fact
I don't even know what that is. Amber, do you know what that is?
Yeah, what kind of cut do you want? Like,
I can't believe she just condoned that. Just
she's a woman.
Right before our eyes, she just condoned this. I don't understand what's happening right now. The fact of the matter is, the AI. You said that it
was good.
You said that they wouldn't have reflection, right? Mm-hmm. They wouldn't have the cadence, right? And this is 5 years ago, where the recipient, the person that answered at the shop, could not tell that she was talking to a AI model.
It was good
being made.
Don't get me wrong. It was good. It was good.
Oh man,
I'm just saying, in terms of the full human nature,
give us 5 years. 5 years.
Okay.
Everything that you believe that AI is not capable of, and the things that we fight to maintain rights of. When I hear Amber say, we're the creators and we still need to get, our rights and we need to be paid for blah, blah, blah. What I hear, and again, I'm a creator too, and I get it, right? But I'm on the outside and I'm trying to referee this as unbiased as I can. But here's the thing. I wonder how the blacksmith felt when they had a whole industry of making horseshoes for the horses when Mercedes decided to drive a car off the line. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I mean, the car industry just tore up the blacksmith.
Wait a minute. I'm the horseshoe and the AI is the Mercedes. Wait a minute.
I'm talking about the whole decimating of an entire industry based on new technology.
I know.
What about those who used to transcribe on paper before we had the typewriters and the printing press and all these new technologies that did away with so you have these creators that's saying, hold on, you got these AI tools now that can do my job better than me? Oh, hell no. We got to do away with this before heresy. It's not going to happen. The tools are coming in and they're actually going to do away with a lot of the creators.
Are we okay with that?
I mean, but what choice do we have? It's technology, and at the end of the day, either you learn a skill set to be able to adapt, or you're going to be the one that gets left behind.
Yeah.
Right. I'll say this real quick. So I have a good friend. He's a DJ. He's been a DJ for as long as I've known. His name's DJ Helliver. Right. I remember the first time. I remember the first time when he realized that the DJ downstairs at a specific club was making as much money as him, and he wasn't bringing in vinyl every night. He said, I looked up, these guys were coming in with their laptops, with their music and their USBs, and he said, I got all these crates I'm logging in, and they're making the same as me. The technology did that. Did away with the old sets of the DJs. So every time you have a new adaptation of the technology, people are going to begin to either lose their jobs or they're going to have to conform to what's being brought in. So I just happen to believe that, you stand a chance to being at the greatest level of it if you adapt to it, as opposed to being on the outside of it saying that, I still want to be paid for my hard-earned work because I still do it the old traditional way. It's not going to happen. I'm just saying. All right. So why don't you give us one more before we go? And I'm so tired of talking about this guy. Lord knows I am. What's happening over at X this week?
Listen, there's been so many changes, hard to keep up, but apparently their new move makes absolutely no sense. But they're sorting posts by like count instead of by like chronological order when you're So even if you have a pinned post to your Twitter profile, something really important you're trying to promote, it does not matter because the post that you created, even if it was 5 years ago, that is the most likes is going to be the one that is at the top of your profile. So if somebody Googles your name, that one, that's the one that's going to pop up. I don't think anyone really understands. Like I was researching it and reading and everyone's kind of like, huh? Like why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
People want to see what's going on now. I don't care what was most liked 4 years ago. Why?
Yeah. I had a larger following on Twitter. Like I said, I've used Twitter for quite some time.
You know, artificial intelligence.
What?
Focus on X.
Focus on X.
Okay,
I'm tired of what they're doing at X. It seems like every day they're changing something, you know. And why don't we just leave the platform and go to Threads? I'm just saying.
Well, Threads is
I've kind of done that.
I'm just saying. All right, Amber. So you'll be back next week to bring us some more updates.
Yes.
Or bring us an update on what's happening
her original tone, with artificial intelligence, personality, cadence.
You know what? I just had a brains. I think next week, Amber, why don't we just use your voice?
No.
Your image.
No.
To create an avatar.
No.
That can come and do your segment. But listen, hold on. She still gets paid for it because she's going to license that to DSPT to use next week. What do you think about that?
Are you serious? I mean, like, I'm interested to see if it could, because what I see is going to be someone, a picture of me like here talking, because I do a lot. And I don't think, listen.
Exactly. There we go.
Hey, but you know what?
Advocate this. I'm just saying.
Hold on now. Hold on. Be careful what you wish for, because there's actually video AI now that can even take it, regardless of the body, the face, or whatever, can take it and have it to say anything. We can do it. Let's do it for next show.
Okay.
Let's do it for next show. All right, well, I'm gonna have Marco reach out to you, and we're gonna figure this out over the next couple of days so we can have it for next Tuesday. All right.
I will enjoy seeing how this turns out, but I cannot wait to see the real Amber the following week.
Amber, if somebody wanted to follow you on social media and have this great debate with you about this whole AI topic and how you got to have your rights as a content creator and get paid on the back end because of all the licenses you're not going to be receiving, where can they find you?
Get Real with AB.
Get Real AB. We'll see you next week, AI Amber. I tell you, man, I don't know why, but I'm just standing on a whole nother side of a lot of these topics when it comes to this whole AI discussion right now.
Yeah.
And I think that we have to be prepared for the what ifs. The what ifs.
You know, you look, you make strong points about AI is not going anywhere.
Absolutely.
I mean, anyone who thinks that is possible, now you're living in la la land. There is a fine balance, I think, in all fairness, there's a fine balance of learning more about AI and learning how you can use the skill set to elevate yourself, elevate your career, because more and more it will become a requirement for many of us.
Oh, listen, but right on the heels of what you're saying, why don't we just go ahead and bring on our special guest today, Mr. Don Tilley. Don. Mr. Tilley, thank you for waiting and being as patient with us as you were. What do you think about what Josh was just saying about having to be skilled for what's to come? Because I know you said in the back and you heard a lot of this conversation. I'm trying to stand toe to toe with them, and they throwing some heavy blows about why artificial intelligence. It's not.
We did kind of come at you hard. Can't make you hard.
See, and if I wasn't used to it, I was sweating bullets up here. I said, hold on, let me get some experts on here. So, Don, can you help us to understand where maybe some of this, if not all of this, is headed?
So, AI in itself is a great tool. Like we talked about this before. However, cyber criminals are taking advantage of AIs. How we're using it. AI is great for automation. AI is great for a lot of things. However, AI at this moment, and you know, Carlos, is not regulated. So these cyber criminals can take AI, manipulate a lot of things, right? Think about AI can generate a phishing email as easily to deceive users, to create malware, to adapt any behavior, even to confuse security antivirus software. So it's how we use the AI. AI is a great tool. I'm not against it, just how it's being used.
See there now. So you even make the fine point for me. How would people, human beings that they alluded to earlier, how would human beings be tricked by AI if the technology wasn't as advanced as I know it to be? Right. So Josh made the statement earlier that, oh, it wouldn't have Amber's cadence, it wouldn't have her tone, it wouldn't have so many things that makes Amber Amber. Right. But at the end of the day, I know for a fact that the tools that we're using now, as of August, whatever the day is, the 21st, 22nd, but as of this day, these tools are so advanced that we have to begin to set up parameters such as the security AI course that we're developing, for just the simple fact that everyone is going to be fooled with the technology that's by those that want to use it nefariously. Is that true?
That's true. You get it.
Yeah.
You hit the nail right on the head.
Okay. How about this, Don? You brought up the point that AI is a tool. It's a tool, 100%. But I think the bigger concern is, does it go from being a tool to the main source?
No, Josh, it's not the main source.
But is that a question that's being raised?
It is, but it's not the source, though. You guys made some good points. You can um, mimic something, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be the overall main source. Carlos may can manipulate an AI to look like Amber, to act like Amber, but it's not Amber. Like you guys mentioned, the emotion piece will never be there.
That's powerful. And I agree. I agree to a degree. But here's the thing.
Don, have you ever heard of just a women's haircut?
No, absolutely not.
What is that? You show me one lady walking this earth right now who said just a women's haircut.
Just a women's haircut. But it's so silly. So I agree as of today that may be the case, right? It doesn't have the general intelligence for us to allocate to it, or for us to designate to it human status, right? And I say human status, but what truly is human, right? What isn't human? I mean, you got some people that consider their dogs to be human. They're the best, closest thing that they have to a friend, the adoration that they have between the two of them. So, it just depends on the person that perceives it as being whatever the case may be. But I truly believe that within, whether it be the next 5 years, no more than a decade, that these systems, they develop such a unique capability, identity about themselves, that even the courts have to recognize them as being, I won't say human, but being a person, right? We know corporations aren't humans, but they're, under law, they're persons. They can own property, which is the worst argument, I think, that was made even in the judge's opinion that was handed down a few days ago as it stands to the copyright. This particular individual was trying to get a copyright for property. Basically, it was like trying to get copyright for a camera. The camera can't own property. The camera produces the image, but it can't own the image, right? And that's pretty much what the court was saying. However, unlike a camera, there comes a day when the AI models, they're able to produce without Josh, Carlos, or anyone having to say anything to them, based on the knowledge that they have, or based on the direction that they choose to utilize that knowledge. And that's coming. So when that happens, then there has to be a time when the courts recognize them as being a person. Okay. I won't say human.
So you're
right.
almost talking like Skynet.
Well, we can call it
I
whatever it
mean,
is. Call me
it's kind of
Skynet.
like AI gonna just take over. Then we're gonna work for
It's a
AI.
word that has been floating around the past hour, Don, and I'm glad that someone.
So I don't want to use the phrase that it'll take over because I don't believe that. Right. I believe that it'll still. I happen to believe that the creator has the ability to still rule and regulate the creation in some
Okay.
tense. Right. It just depends. Now you may not be the one that's able to rule and regulate it. Why not? Because you didn't believe in it. You didn't stay up to date with as to how you go in and you prompt it, or how you're able to better live a better life as it relates to the tool when it was a tool. So you'll be the one on the outside saying, yes, Skynet is here. But there's going to be those of us, Carlos, those of us that have really taken in what the tool was doing and was a part of its development and the mass adaptation. And at the end of the day, I'm in a better position than those that simply said, oh no, I want to stand out here and fight for my rights and be paid on the back end because I don't like AI. And that to me is just ludicrous. But anyhow, I digress. So what do you foresee when you're talking about in the eyes of security and these technologies as they are now? Do you see as a whole industry cropping up around some of the mishandlings of them, or do you think that it's not as big of an issue as you just alluded to with Skynet that some individuals believe?
It's an issue, and that's why learning about AI security, learning about deep fakes, disinformation, learning how AI generated media or videos, content, audio, learning about how to protect against these, learning about the risk, learning about how it becomes a threat or a vulnerability, and how to protect yourself from it. It's very important and it's real, and it's one of the trends that is taking place today. So it's nothing to take lightly. You mentioned earlier, hey, it's going to come a time where AI is going to get smarter and smarter. Yes, you're right. But until they start regulating things, and even the creator of the hammer didn't have the intentions to misuse the hammer, but people do, right? So, hey, think about that too, Carlos.
Yeah, well, if you want to say it that way.
Let's leave it with Don. Let's leave it with Don.
That's good. No, hold on. This is not the Dunn show. What do you mean? Let's leave it with Dunn? What do you mean?
Don is the mediator in this fiery debate.
Yeah, but the difference is the hammer can't necessarily do anything outside of the human being picking up the hammer and doing X, Y, Z. AI is something totally different. What? Okay. All right. We'll bring you back in for another heated debate.
To be continued.
To be continued.
Yes.
Because I can go all day on this, right? I just believe that it's a time in our history unlike anything ever before, and we might as well train and adapt now before we find ourselves left in the primitive stage. And I mean, there's even enough data, companies are beginning to say hackers are starting to really use a lot of these technologies. Whereas you even had IBM a few days ago, and they were talking to how these tools are beginning to change the industry so much that 40% of the workforce has to be retrained now. 40%. We're talking millions of individuals. They have to be trained globally for the adaptation of this tool. The hammer didn't do that, right? The wheel, possibly. Fire, maybe. But we're talking now about a technology that's going to be as close to human intellect as ever seen before. And as it stands, the laws on the book, they're not even nowhere close to being able to handle some of the claims because it's a new variety of law. You just had the first application of someone saying, hey, the AI created an image, the AI owns it, because they see the AI as a person. Listen, if you haven't done it, I'm here to tell you, because I use these models all the time. There's times when I get lost in the conversation that I have with a Claude 2. And I get so lost that I'm talking to it as if I'm talking to you guys. I mean, literally. And it's replying back to me in such a way that I feel that I'm speaking to another human being, but it's not, of course. I know that. But at the end of the day, the time is coming when I'm not going to know it. And it's going to be as fluent. It's going to be as progressive as anything before it. And I just don't think that we should be sitting around saying that, oh no, AI it's not going to be able to do this and it shouldn't have the right to do this. But you can't stop it. Nobody could stop us from having rights, and we fought for them. Remember, we fought for our rights and we got them with the civil rights movement. What happens when AI wants to be viewed as a person? What happens? All right.
Yeah.
Don't say it won't happen. Don't say it won't happen. There's a new application called Co-Counsel. If you guys don't know what it is, look it up. Co-Counsel is an application that you can use in order to write legal briefs. It has millions of case laws in it. Lawyers are using it now to help with their practice. And if AI can do that within the legal industry, then how much more can AI use it to defend itself, or whatever the case? It sounds cartoonish, but so did the Jetsons when I was a kid.
More conversing to come.
Absolutely.
All right.
Done. Thank you for taking our time and coming and sitting and chatting with us a bit. We appreciate you, and we look forward to bringing you back another day, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Cool. All right. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Yeah. Are you watching the GOP debate this week?
My candidate's not going to be there, so I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. There will be more debates to come, and we'll see if your candidate participates.
He's not going to be there.
Okay. Fair enough. With that being said, man, let's do it again next week.
We're definitely going to do it again, and remember, we're going to bring AI Amber on next week. We're going to bring AI Amber on next week and see if we can get her to do the in tech news unlike she's ever done it before. Okay. That should be fun.
We shall see.
Absolutely.
What we should do when you have the AI Amber, we'll see how she does it, but then let's bring the clips from this episode and incorporate them into next week's episode and kind of compare and have a little fun with it.
Okay.
Deal?
Okay. All right.
Good deal.
All right. How long? We're DSDT. We're a technology school. Don't think we can't do it.
I know we can do it. That's why I brought it up. Right. I figured it was an easy enough idea.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely.
Well, again, next week, brother. In the meantime, that will do it for the Tech School podcast powered by DSDT. For Carlos, I'm Josh. See ya.